First of all, congrats on the Grammy nomination. It's a massive milestone. Can you kind of take me through that feeling a bit?
It's hard to describe it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I think the only word we can use. It's amazing, of course.
Yeah, there's been so much good music through that place. So it's like kind of the biggest achievement and like acknowledgement you can get, especially like for an Italian band to be nominated in such a big event in the US is like kind of something never happened before. So we're really proud and it's going to be great.
Well, you obviously won Eurovision in 2021, and ever since it's kind of just been this insane rise to fame. So I have to ask, how do you guys manage to stay like centered and grounded in that?
I think it's just part of who you are and your education, and it doesn't really matter how big, how famous you get. It's like it's part of who you are, and it's either if you're famous or not. If you're mean, you're mean. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah, we live it as a consequence,
Yeah.
mostly. It's not like the main part is not something we wanted to reach. We just done and we're doing what we like, and all the other things like the feedback from the audience is something very special from us, and like awards are special as well. But it's not like the end. It's just like part of the path, part of the journey.
Right. Well, I read that obviously you guys have been performing together since high school. And I saw that maybe you've been nonconformist like since the beginning of time with all of that. So since you were kind of doing your own thing with dressing and just the way that you presented yourself, what is it about rebellion that is so attractive to you? Because that's kind of synonymous with rock and roll.
Yeah, of course. I think like I don't know, I think it kind of comes a bit from injustice because you see, like, I think it just makes you angry to see other people trying to limit others' freedom, and maybe we are like lucky enough and have strong character not to not get affected or limited or stopped by anyone's comments, but a bunch of people doesn't, so especially when you grow up, you see people your age that maybe really gets affected by many of these like comments and just like limitations society puts on you and doesn't really allow you to be who you really are. And I think it's something like so wrong that somehow it has always touched us a lot and has always just made us want to do it even more and just say fuck off, like that's not who we are. We want to do our thing because that's what's right doing, and we want to like even try somehow to inspire others to do the same, but in first place just the four of us not be limited by some idiots.
Well, obviously you are rebelling with your music, but when you look at fashion in particular, why is that a medium that you choose in order to not conform, essentially?
But we don't even try. It's like not something we're doing on purpose. It's just like who we are and the way we like to be, and we think that there should be a lot more freedom on this. And even if, and like just the fact that it's something that gets so spoken of, the fact that we're dressing in a way that is not exactly conforming to how the majority of people dresses, this like shows how stupid it is and like how wrong it is that there's so many limits and boundaries over someone else free. Like I think no one should really care how other people want to look, and it doesn't affect any other than yourself in any way. So I think it's just even all these comments and talking about it shows that there is still need for people to like somehow speak up or do something, because it can't just be done with freedom and people living it normally, apparently.
Right, but where does that inner freedom come from? Or have you just always had it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I personally always had it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's part of your background, your education, and your personality. Yeah.
Yeah, also like I think parents can be a very huge affection on you, and like by just discovering yourself and just being yourself is very important, like to be in a good and safe environment since you were born. So your parents and your families are really like they really affect you. So I think that we had lucky to say that we all have parents that really like wanted to support us since the beginning. So I think this is very important.
Victoria and Ethan, you both identify within the LGBTQ plus community. I've noticed that there's quite a bit of queer imagery in your work and in your music videos. Why is that significant?
I think, like as everything else we do is just part of who we are. So I think we put it in everything we do, like not even wanting it to. It's just part of who we are. So we want to give it representation as well. And also, especially, I think that's still something that there is a lot of work to do about, just in the like medias and everything, to give queer representation and show something that is not heteronormativity, because there is still a lot of people that have a lot of prejudice and judgments, and just like there's a lot of injustice still about it in the world, and people that doesn't see it as something just normal as it should be. So I think it's very important. And like even when we meet like our queer fans and they talk to us like about how much just the fact of us being who we are like openly and has given them strength, and I think that is like one of the most important things.
Yeah, that's priceless, totally.
Well, I do have to ask, there's been some buzz around queer baiting. So I wanted to ask directly, do you feel at all that you have queer baited or contributed?
No, for sure. No. I think it's like so stupid to like make this thing of queer baiting grow in this way. Like I think that first of all, real people cannot queer bait, and especially addressing someone for queer baiting because of the way that they're dressing is just putting more stereotypes. First of all, like as you said, like two of us in the band are queer, so it means that everything also they do is like filtered by us and our opinions, and they just want to like help us and somehow like give acknowledgement and representation to queer people. So that's the first fact. And second of all, they have always been very clear about their sexuality, so it's not like they're trying to be like, you know, mysterious about it or not talk about it openly. And the fact that someone is dressed or wears makeup or anything shouldn't say anything about anyone's sexuality. And I think that queer people in first place shouldn't try to like, you know, make this stereotype grow and make all these boundaries even stronger, because the whole purpose should be like everyone's freedom. So I think everyone is free to wear whatever they want, either queer or straight people, and it doesn't have to do anything at all with their sexuality.
Yeah, I think the stereotypes, you don't destroy them by creating new stereotypes. It's more about to destroy the concept of stereotype itself. So like there are a lot of things that has no gender actually, and like seeing the gender in like clothes or like makeup or like I don't know, like skills, because we can also talk about what we are able to do in our lives that is seen with a gender as well, and with a very like retrograde and heteronormativity vision, which is very wrong because there's no gender in it. It's not like feminine or masculine to have makeup. It's just makeup. It's just how you want to feel, just how you want to look. So it's about how you feel about yourself. And it's very sad to see that this world has a lot of progression to do on it and a lot of things to learn still, because this is like the times are changing, and this is one of the bright sides that I try to focus in, but there's a lot of work to do. So we had to be strong and just to like share as much as freedom as we can.
I believe one of you, I think it might have been Victoria, who said in the past that the new album Rush is different from your others because it explores individual directions rather than you all kind of coming to common ground with each song. Why was that a route that you wanted to go?
Yeah, I think it's just like a part of an artist's growth, I think. So like in these past years, we grew a lot also individually, you know. So each one would like go to more gigs or discover more music and have more different ideas. And when we got in the studio, we didn't want to make like any of us upset or not feel represented or stuff. And if we had to go in only in one direction, that would have happened, you know. Just like, I don't know, for example, I'm more into heavy music, so the more punky and faster tracks from the record, and like Damiano, for example, loves like the ballads and the more slower parts, for example. So if we had to do only ballads, then I would not have felt represented. If we had to do only fast song, then he would have not felt like some aspects of him were represented, you know. Then of course we all have some common grounds that we all feel like it's the thing we all love to do. But in the end, we love the whole record, you know. But I think that process of like trusting each other and being like, okay, you like this and this is important for you, so let's discover it together instead of just saying no and only focus on my own taste, you know. It was trying to be like more democratic and make each one not like limit themselves but just express themselves fully. And then we have like also a bunch of songs that in the end we were like, okay, but we don't like this, you know, so it's fine. And like the four of us don't feel represented by it, so then it's not going to be in the record. But then at the same time, we also discovered new faces of us and made songs that we wouldn't have done if in the first moment we didn't really trust that person, you know.
Well, I wanted to ask more about that because Out Magazine is all about authenticity. And so I kind of feel like finding that balance might be difficult, where it's like you want to allow self-expression from your other bandmates, but you also want to stay true to your own vision.
Yeah.
So how has there been any back and forth with that, or like how do you kind of work through that?
I think that the band vision is made by the mix of the four different visions that we have. So following one instead of another doesn't mean to like not be true to the band identity. It's just embracing one of the four identities more than the other. But we have 17 songs, and I think that's a fair balance of leading between the songs, so you can really get who was leading in which song. And I think that makes the identity of the band even more recognizable, because you see not just the unit, but you see also the four different visions and the four different tastes, so you have more information.
Well, my final question for you all, I feel like your band identity is kind of rooted in freedom. So is there an example that you can think of where you felt maybe the most free in your career?
Yeah, I think like every time, honestly, we get on stage and we get to play songs like we have wrote, and we know how much we've been through to get to this point. Like sometimes when we even play these huge festivals and we're like playing Zite Buoni, which is the song we did the Eurovision with and everything, and we've been through so much, because at first when we wrote it, like no one from the label or management or anyone and liked it and thought it could go anywhere, you know. So everyone was like trying to stop us from doing it or changing it or stuff. And then now when we get to play, I don't know, these big places like on the opposite part of the world, and we're playing a song that we wrote like in our fucking garage in Rome, like when no one like believed in it and anything, it really makes you like go through mentally all the things that we've faced and how much we fighted for who we were, and like to see that people are acknowledging that they're seeing something true in it and something authentic is like the biggest accomplishment for me personally.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This was so great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.